Hello and welcome to another episode of the eCom Ops podcast. Today we are talking about Shopify and e-commerce in general, I'd say. I have a real great specialist with me today. His name is Clayton, and he is a Shopify expert since 2019. He achieved over $20 million in extra client revenue generated from website redesigns, has over 100 plus five-star reviews, local business finalist in Australia. And he did over 1,500 free website video reviews for his customers. And what also special, 1,000 plus page one results on Google for his clients. Hey, Clayton, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm more than
Happy to
happy
be
to
here.
have an expert here talking about Shopify today and about your projects. Clayton, please kindly introduce yourself a bit.
So my name's Clayton Bates from Inspire Small Business. We help redesign and build Shopify websites that convert more visitors into paying customers. We've actually generated probably about $40 million now in extra revenue. So I think maybe it needs to be updated. The 20 million, it's about 40 million
Holy.
now. And the 1,000 page one results was on one
Wow, that's
website.
great. That's great. That's
So
insane. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So we've done a lot of stuff over the years and things like that. We're one of the only registered Shopify experts in Australia. I think there's about 30 in Australia and about
Mm.
500 in the whole world. So it's pretty cool that we're actually a registered Shopify expert.
And why did you go into that e-commerce niche? What inspired you to go on e-commerce?
I think I've always had a business mind since I was a kid. So when I was at high school, I went to buy a can of drink and the machine was broken. And when I put my money in, 7 cans come out and I sold all 7 in 5 minutes. So for like 3 or 4 years, I actually sold cans of drink at school, made tens of thousands of dollars doing that. I left school, went and worked for a little bit. And then I seen some trading cards in a news agency or something like that. I loved trading cards as a kid and I decided to collect them. And I thought I could make a business out of this. A lot of people don't know this. I actually made hundreds of thousands of dollars selling trading cards. And then that sort of like when I started that, eBay and stuff were like that was very big. And websites started to come into being a lot more popular. And probably the later years, I decided that I was going to try to build my website on Shopify. And I tried to do that. I got a lot of quotes from agencies to rebuild my website. What I've learned now that if I actually hired one of those agencies, I probably would have made $200,000 or $300,000 extra. But I wouldn't be in the position I am now. So everything I learned from that business building the website, I took into this business where I build websites for people now. So I learn a lot. I haven't just learned how to build a website. I've actually went out and done it myself and got sales on a Shopify
That's cool, and
website
it's
as
always
well.
the best case learning by doing, making try and error. Why Shopify? I mean, what makes Shopify so special for you?
So I'm definitely very biased when it comes to Shopify because when I was doing research in I think 2014, I went to YouTube. I've always been a very big person who tries to find solutions on YouTube, and pretty much everyone on YouTube was saying Shopify, Shopify, Shopify sort of thing, and that's how I started. I picked Shopify. There was a lot of cheaper platforms that I could have used at the time, but I'm grateful I picked Shopify because what I've realized now is that there is a lot of platforms, there is a lot of cheaper solutions than Shopify, but nearly any problem you could ever run into in e-commerce, Shopify has a solution for. So nearly always it's the best option if you're in e-commerce. Well,
Mhm.
that's what I
And
feel
now you
like
have
anyway.
seen a lot of different stores already. I mean, over 1,500 reviews that you did. Um, is there something in general that you'd say this is typical for typical mistakes that store owners do?
There's always about 5 that nearly everyone makes a mistake on. So the first one would be their homepage. They don't understand how to flow that page and how to actually correctly build that page. The second one is their product page doesn't have all the information about the product or build trust or have the benefits sometimes if there is benefits for the product. Most products there is. So they mess that up as well. The third one's site navigation. The more products you have, the more important site navigation is. The fourth one's their checkout. They don't add the logo and their colors into the checkout. So there's a disconnect when someone goes to the checkout. It's completely different to the rest of their website. That happens a lot. And the fifth one, and one of the most important, is people don't optimize their site for mobile. Most likely 50 to 90% of your traffic is going to come from mobile phones. So it's very important that you optimize your site for a mobile. I think one of the reasons this happens is because a lot of people that build their website themselves, they're at their home computer. Most likely, most people are working on their laptop, desktop. They see the website on their laptop and desktop and think that's okay, but they don't actually go check on mobile
That's
as well.
interesting because I think everyone knows already that mobile is the most important traffic, especially in B2C. I'm not talking about B2B. There it is still different, and we see more navigation on desktops. But for B2C, I mean, that's common. Do you think the people are not aware of it? I mean, you said they are working on the laptop and they do not check it, but I mean, don't they know it?
I think most people know it, but what I've really thought a lot about this, and I think when people are working on their business, they want to sit down and see their website look good on
Mhm.
their desktop and stuff like that. And it's like sort of an afterthought. I even worked with someone who had 97% traffic mobile, which is like one of the highest I've seen. And they cared more about what their website looked like on a desktop
Okay.
than it did on mobile, which is like pretty full on. But I'd say most people understand, but still some
Mhm.
people don't understand, I think, how important it
And how
is. So probably more new people, I would say,
so
is
when you
more like
start
that.
working for a company, you first check what's going on, you do the review, you make suggestions. How do you measure that you are part of the results of the success that a website has afterwards?
So yeah, I learn a lot about them. I do the review, get on a call, learn about them, do a lot of research once they've accepted the quote, stuff like that. When we launch the website, there's quite a lot of different things that we measure the success of the website on. It's not 100% accurate, so that's why it's always like it's roughly we've sort of made this amount of money for people. But to give you an idea, we track like so. Say someone's conversion rate is 1% most of the time before they worked with us, and then it goes to 3%. We can probably um, 2% of those conversions are probably because of what we did. If the average order value is like $100 and it goes to $200, most likely $100 is like pretty much because of us, sort of thing. So, just for example, on one website, they were making £1 million a year, and when we rebuilt it, they went to £3 million a year. So they made an extra £2 million, but probably £1 million of that was us, and then another million was their growth. So that's the other thing you have to look at as well. Some people's businesses grow as well, so you can't just say, "Oh yeah, they made £3 million this year. That was all because of us." When it's not really
At
always
what
that way.
at what time do you think
So
would it be good to talk to an expert? I mean, I'm a startup. I built my store. I want to start selling. At what point do you think it's the right time to optimize things?
so I think it depends on your budget. But if you're making like 25,000 to $100,000 a year and you haven't hired someone to build your website, you're probably losing
Mhm.
a large amount of money. So some of the best results we have got is when people fall into that category where about 25 to $100,000 a year, because most likely they've built it themselves. They've quickly put it together. They might have built a brand. So I always call this like the love factor, where if someone builds a brand and they have a bad website, those people that love them will come to their website. They'll find the only link to the checkout, like they just love them so much. But it's all these people on the fence that don't buy stuff. So when you restructure the website, that's when those people get like really, really massive results. So a lot of people we've worked with, they might make $1,000 a week, and then we rebuild the website, and they're going from $1,000 a week to five, six, $7,000 a week, just because it was very clunky. All those things that I said before, that all the little mistakes they've made on their website, and a lot of people don't realize like how many little things they probably made a
Okay,
mistake
very
with.
interesting. And how much money would I need to allocate to get an expert? What do you think? What is the right amount of money for small companies?
It really depends. What I normally always say is that you can spend $20 on a website or $1
Mhm.
million on a website. So it really depends on what stage you're at. So if you're making, let's just say you're making $20,000 a year, it doesn't make sense to spend $20,000 on a website. But if you're making like $5 million a year, then it makes sense to spend $30,000 on a website, because the impact on the quality of the website could be for a massive brand. So it really depends what stage you're at, on what levels you need, sort of thing. So if you're just starting out, probably you don't want to spend too much money on a website. So I definitely wouldn't spend 20, 30, 40,000 on a website. But if you're making millions of dollars, yeah, it's definitely worth thinking about spending a large
Yeah,
amount of money on a
especially when you
website.
make the
Because
entire
it's
money from the website. It's the most important thing for you to have a perfect setup and good conversion optimization. What was it more likely what you do? Is it building new stores or optimizing existing ones?
it's
Yeah.
probably 50-50, but I would say recently, probably the last 6 months, we've mostly um,
Mhm.
rebuilt websites over building websites. It's a lot easier. I don't know if you have experienced this, but it's a lot easier to make someone more money when they're already making money over someone who's never
Yeah,
made money. So,
need to agree.
um, yeah, like, yeah, it's easier. Like, I feel like it's easier to make someone $1 million than to get someone their first sale online. Because normally they've already got a lot of things in place, structure, brand, stuff like that. So when you make changes, they get really good results like straight away. Where if you're starting out, it's a bit more of a grind and a longer process. Then their budget's normally less as well. So I'd say definitely last 6 months is more rebuilds, but we still do build
Awesome.
websites from scratch.
Let's say I have $20,000 per month revenue on my store. Um, what would be the first top three things I should look at to improve that?
Well, definitely the five things that I said before. Um, Probably at that level, you're still making some of those mistakes. But I always like to think, like, if you look at a website, there might be 31% of things where if you just change one of those 1% things, it's not really going to make a big difference. But if you change all 30 of those little 1% things, then it's going to make a
Hmm.
very big difference. So for example, a lot of people aren't very consistent throughout their website. So for example, they might have like capitals as a heading on one page and then lowercase on the other page. So it's all these like little consistency things being very consistent throughout the whole website and things like that. So I'd say that's like a 1 or 2% thing. But then if you do another 1%, another 1%, that's when you start getting the really big results. But it normally goes back to those five things I was talking before, and then you put all the little 1%ers on. So
Yeah,
hopefully
absolutely.
that
Thank you
sort of
so
answers
much.
that question.
Our audience really loves success stories. Do you have a success story in mind that you would want to talk about?
Yeah, for me, there's probably like 10 from about 4 years ago that it was sort of helped me a lot as well, because they made me believe that I could do this as a business. So, for example, this one client I had, they were making about $1,000 a week. I think their best week they'd ever had was $3,000 in a week. We rebuilt the website and they went from $1,000 a week to 5,000 a week, and it just kept going five, 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 six, seven, five,
Wow.
four, for every week like that. And the client actually rung me up and cried on the phone, and that's when I realized like um, what I could do for other people. Like I could actually like change people's lives. It's not really about just building a website. And I had about 10 of those stories 4 years ago. And I don't know, that's what really inspired me, sort of thing. It come at right at the time I needed it, and it made me realize like I can really
And
change
that's
people's
really
lives.
amazing when you can tell something like this, that people really yeah, are happy that you could help them out. I think that's very important. If you
Yeah.
love what you do it really, really good, I think. Um,
Yeah, there's also sorry, there's just one more I wanted to quickly say that come to my mind because it's very recent. So one person, I built them like a drink bottle website. So they're selling like drink bottles and gym towels and stuff. And I sort of said they had like some good results straight away. And I sort of said, sometimes it's not the first business that you do that makes the money. It's the second or third one, but you just keep showing up, right? And this guy had this idea, this crazy idea that he had rattling around in his head. And he launched a new business and we built the website for it. And the other day, he actually sent me a message and he's like, "Oh, we finally did
oh wow.
100K in a month." So this other business that just come from like this idea that he had rattling around in his head for a few years. He got the taste on the business before, and like they've made like a lot of money. He's quit his job. He does this business full time. And yeah, I was so happy for the guy when he said that he made 100K in a month. And it's just like you look back at where they come from and where they are now. That's the other good thing about being in business 5 years. I've seen quite a lot of people where I worked with them 2, 3, 4 years ago, and then you see where they are now, and it's like
Yeah,
just
that's
crazy
really cool.
results.
You do it with, or you generate maybe leads with doing those free website reviews. How has this philosophy impacted your business growth and client relationships?
So I think it's really good doing that. Like, um, if you put good things out into the world, you expect nothing in return. Normally, good stuff comes back. Like, some people have been like, "Oh, that was really good." They try to do it themselves. They're like, "Oh, thanks, I really appreciate it." And then, like a year later, that same person referred me to like their friend that has this massive company, sort of thing. So I always think just putting it out there, expect nothing in return. It always comes back. It definitely hasn't impacted my business. It helps me stand out, and I think these days you need to stand out because I put requests through to Shopify experts to see what they say sometimes, and like 50 people might message me, and they're all copy paste messages, and I send a video to people, and it's like it makes me stand out a lot. And the one thing I've learnt recently too is that I feel like if I don't grow my business and expand, I'm doing a disservice to the world because we have such a good product to give to the people that we work with. So I have to do all the things that make me stand out and help me to attract people that we can
Oh, great.
really
Yeah.
help.
Um, you you said customer reviews. Yeah. I think they play a significant role in boosting trust and conversions. What strategies do you employ to get genuine and positive client reviews?
Um, I just try to do the best thing I can by the other person. And normally at the end of the project, I'll send them a link to leave a review, ask them to leave a video review if they want. I think people can tell if you generally care about them, and like maybe one day you don't reply back to them for 2 days, or maybe one day you'll go above and beyond and ring them and or do all these random things. Like people can see through the messages, the calls, and stuff. And if they generally believe that you had the best interest in like helping them succeed and stuff like that, then most people are happy to leave reviews. Some people just will never leave reviews, which is fine. But the thing I've actually found too, what I do now is I actually go to lots of businesses that I work with and I leave them reviews because I feel like, putting it out in the world again, like if you're going and leaving reviews for people, it'll come back to you too. So I think that's why I've got a lot. And when I've asked a lot of people that have low amounts of reviews, I'm like, my first question always to them is like, do you leave people reviews? And nearly always they're like, no. So it's like you got to put out what you want to get back
That's a
into the world.
very great philosophy. It's very common. Yeah. Do what you want to do, or what you want to have. Do it yourself, and it's really great to hear that. I mean, we all need those reviews. It doesn't matter if you are service providers or if we are e-commerce store owners. What we need to do is we need to ask for those reviews. And of course, if we give reviews, it's most likely that we find other people that will give us reviews. And I think that's so important. And I fully believe that building trust is one of the most important things to get sales. It doesn't matter if it's an e-commerce store or if it's a service provider. The review is one of the most important things to convert customers. Where do you see the future of e-commerce in the next 5 years?
This answer keeps changing a lot, and I think because of AI and stuff like that, it's made me confused. Because if you asked me a year ago, I would have said mobile apps would have been like the big thing, because I started to see a trend, especially on like bigger brands, where they were like converting their website into a mobile app, and I thought that was definitely going to be like the trend, especially when you build brands and stuff. But now with AI, it's just making me have to rethink like the direction of where everything's going. I think what the main thing is not really about where it's going. It's more like you have to try to find where the wave is and get on top of the wave and then ride the wave. You don't want to be at the bottom of the wave when it's crashing. So just always keep looking for the new thing and jump on the
Yeah,
wave
cool.
before everyone else.
This is why you're in Australia. The comparison with the wave and surfing. That's the cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. One very important thing. What do you think? How important are integrations, automations, marketplace sales for store owners, for businesses?
It depends on the business, I think, but every little thing counts, I think. But it depends how you look at it, right? If you're trying to do like 30 different things and like that's one of them, you're probably not putting enough focus on those sort of areas to make them succeed, sort of thing. So you really just have to pick 2 or 3 things that you think are going to work and just go
Mhm.
all in on them, I think. So if that's going to work for you, then go for it. If you don't see any results after a few months, then rethink the direction you're
Got it.
going in,
Thank you
sort
so
of thing.
much. Last question for the day, Clayton. It's always the same.
Yeah.
Who has taught you the most about e-commerce in your career?
So I don't know if people will know this, but this guy's like a drop shipper on YouTube. So his name's Dan De Silva, and he was the first person I ever ran into on YouTube. And he said, like, he's a drop shipper that does marketing, right? And I was watching some random video that he made, and he's like, "Oh, you could think about SEO." And this was like in 2014, and something in my brain sparked that. And I looked at all my competitors, and none of them were focusing on SEO, and that's how I ended up getting like 1,000 page one results sort of thing on Google, because of just one random thing that this guy said. He really started me down this journey of like learning how to build a website and stuff. Even though he does drop shipping, I've never done drop shipping. I always just do physical products. But he definitely taught me a lot about e-commerce, and then other random people on YouTube and stuff. I learned a lot on YouTube, and then probably like just on how to run an agency is a bit different, but definitely Sam Ovens and Cormac Gray from the Agency Mentor really helped me on how to actually run an agency as well. But I think it's a very big combination of lots of different things. I always try to take the gold nuggets or something from each person I run into. Like if I can learn one really good thing from each person or each experience I have, then that normally
Awesome.
works really
Thank you
well.
so much for your time, Clayton. Really was a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, guys, go to Clayton's website and pick a free video review. No, just kidding. Don't help him. I think if you really do those basic things and get the size optimized. I mean, mobile, yeah, it's very important. And I fully got you, Clayton, when you said you're working on your laptop or on your computer and you forget about getting on the mobile site. Just check it on mobile and be there. Try to get it optimized. The homepage, the checkout, so that everything is in line. Product pages, descriptions. I think this is very important. And of course, a specialist can help you to optimize the site. Thank you so much, Clayton, for your time. Don't forget to review our podcast and see you next episode. Bye bye.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Bye.
And that's it for this episode of the eCom Ops Podcast. If you enjoyed listening and would like us to find and interview more e-commerce operations experts, please search for eCom Ops Podcast in your favorite podcast listening app, and then subscribe, rate, and review. Until next time.